It says from Negros, Mr. Chair. It says here, Mr.
He's
Chair,
not from Iloilo. He's
when
not from
public
Iloilo.
interest so requires. Yeah. So who determines when the public interest so requires? So the jurisprudence, Mr. Chair.
Of course, Congress, because we are given the authority. And
Attorney Tolentino, while I think we have agreed that Congress has the power, I am very curious as to the jurisprudence he is citing here today. Mr. Chair, may we ask the good attorney, what particular, not the GR number, what is the case title po?
Manila International Port Terminal versus Philippine Port Authority, GR number 196199, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, regarding that, which is the law regarding franchises that they are challenging? What is the action for po?
Again, Mr. Chair.
The facts of the case, the antecedents. What happened in this case? What are they arguing against? Anong franchise po ang binigay sa Ports Authority?
That is with respect to the... It's about the Ports Authority, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr.
But
Chair, anong
this-
nangyari po?
But this jurisprudence talks about franchise in general.
Mr. Chair, may I just clarify? I want to know the antecedents of the case. The antecedent facts. Ano po yung violation ng Ports Authority, ng Manila International, yung complainants? Manila Ports.
It's about
What?
Manila Port Authority, Mr. Chair. I
Ano
can
yung-
explain in details. I will give the complete copy of the decision, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair,
So-
this is my problem. My problem with the legal counsel that SMNI has selected is that they tend to nitpick and choose portions which they would now claim. It goes the same with SMNI News. They will choose portions to cite as truth that matters. But when you go into the whole picture, he can't even tell us the facts of the case.
Kahapon sa hearing ng SMNI, mga kago, ay naging mainit ang tagpo ng magkalat itong abogado ng SMNI sa kanyang sinasite na jurisprudence na wala naman kinalaman sa broadcast. At di umano'y walang karapatan ang Congress to amend, repeal or to revoke franchise. Kaya itong si Congressman Paduano ay nag-init na naman ang ulo. Mas lalo pang naging intense ang talakayan na magsimula ng mag-interpolate si Kong Gutierrez ng One Rider Party List na isa rin palang nag-aral ng law. Kaya itong abogado ng SMNI na si Attorney Tolentino nagmukha tuloy kulang sa talino. At ayon, pinagtawanan ang loko.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To our knowledge as well, we are not aware of any franchise that has been revoked up to this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Last one, Mr. Chair. I wanted to give Attorney Tolentino an opportunity from one lawyer to another. We learned in law school that free speech is not really free. There's a limit to it. I'm sure Attorney Supico knows that. But the classic case, Mr. Chair, is you cannot shout in a crowded movie house, there's a fire, if there's no fire. Just like if I shouted right now, there's a bomb in the room, knowing that there's no bomb, that's not covered by free speech. So I'm curious, Mr. Chair, to give you an opportunity, whether it's your personal or company position, where do you draw the line?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to manifest a Supreme Court jurisprudence about legislative franchise and also in relation to a freedom of press and freedom of expression. This is not my personal opinion, but this is based on a Supreme Court jurisprudence approved by the Supreme Court last 2021. The Supreme Court said that a franchise constitutes a property right, which cannot be arbitrarily revoked or forfeited without compliance with the due process law. It means a franchise cannot be revoked or forfeited without undergoing procedure of due process, which must be observed, which necessitates notice and hearing conducted through a court trial. So not a legislative investigation, because legislative investigation is only in aid of legislation. And second, Mr. Chair, It states that the determination of the right to exercise of a franchise, whether or not to enjoy the privilege to be forfeited, shall be subject to a co-warranto proceeding in a regular court, Mr. Chair. And this is a Supreme Court jurisprudence that we believe is a proper way, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Can I, yeah, I'm winding down, Mr. Chair. Thank you for sharing that. I'm happy to hear that because I think the House, this committee has had at least 3 or 4 hearings. So in terms of due process, and I don't think that that particular Supreme Court case is really on point because we do have the power to issue, a franchise, and at the same token, we have the power to revoke. So I don't agree with that case that it has to go through the courts, but I do agree that the concept or the principle of due process is always important, and I'm happy that this committee has heard these particular issues multiple times, which I think complies with anyone's requirement on due process. But my question was, because you continue to defend your talent despite, hearing from the members, and you said earlier they have the right to file civil criminal cases. I asked about internal regulations on how you discipline talent employees. And I asked, so where do you draw the line? Obviously, Mr. Chair, if a talent says, let's burn down a Jewish temple, I don't think all of us will not be in agreement with that. That would cross the line. So how, as counsel for the company, what are your thoughts on that? I wanted to give you an opportunity because I have to be honest, Mr. Chair, I'm looking for defenses for you guys, but you didn't do a good job doing that. So I wanted to give you one opportunity, and that was my last question, Mr. Chair.
So when I say due process, Mr. Chair, it is one of the constitutional right guaranteed under our Philippine Constitution. Yes, we agree with Congressman Daza that is not absolute. There are certain limitations. But granting that there is limitation, there is a latest jurisprudence of the Supreme Court that in case any rulings, decisions of any government agency that affects constitution, the freedom of press and freedom of expression, there is a presumption that that government agency's ruling and decision is unconstitutional. It means the Supreme Court emphasized that the freedom of press and freedom of expression is one of the highest constitutional right guaranteed under the Philippine Constitution. It means the Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines guarantees more protection, more right with respect to the freedom of press and freedom of expression. Yes, sometimes there are irregularities, there are inaccuracy committed by the anchors of the SMNI. But granting those are inaccurate, granting that those are not 100% correct, still covered by the freedom of press and freedom of expression guaranteed by the Philippine Constitution. So therefore, Mr. Chair, in case there are violations by the anchors, there are other options like filing a case, but not to affect or to revoke the franchise, because a franchise granted by the Philippine government is already a proprietary right protected by the due process clause of the Philippine Constitution.
Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mark Tolentino,
Thank you for the time given
maraming
me.
salamat, the Honorable Dasa.
And Mr. Chair, this is not my opinion, Mr. Chair.
Well,
I'm just reading the
well, it is-
jurisprudence of the Philippine Supreme Court,
Well,
Mr.
I
Chair.
think that is your opinion based on what you are reading. If you only nitpick on certain, because first of all, we don't know what case are you referring
Can I
to.
read the decision, Mr. Chair?
You can just give us a copy because we will definitely, we cannot ask, I don't believe that the Supreme Court will go into
GR
legislative.
number
Excuse me, Attorney Tolentino, you are not yet
Sorry,
recognized.
Mr. Chair.
Again, please, makikiusap po ko ha.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Okay, sabi ko, just give us a copy and we will study the points that you have raised. But be rest assured that this is definitely within the right of the committee to grant, amend, repeal, and revoke. At least klaro po tayo dyan. And if you think that we're in violation of that, then you also have the right to go to the court if you want to. Like you have been asking everyone to go to court against your station and to your talents.
Thank you,
And I
Cardinal
like the
Chair.
smile of the attorney Rolex Suplico. It's a very nice smile. Okay, and he's, thank you. Anyway, klaro po tayo dyan. Sa inyo na, kasi ano po nyo, magbabasa ho tayo ng pira-pirasong desisyon, hindi ho natin alam ang konteksto nung inyong sinasabi. So, and I know that, you know, the Supreme Court will not, malaki po ang paggalang po natin sa kanila at malaki naman po ang paggalang nila sa legislatura.
Thank you,
At
Mr.
hindi
Chair.
po sila sasaklaw sa kapangyarihan ng legislature. So maraming salamat. The Honor, Attorney Caraps, Congressman Caraps, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. Anyway, that's the opinion position of attorney. But ito lang, attorney. Section 15 of your franchise. And binigay niya sa inyo yung frankisa at nobody question about it. You review Section 15.
Here.
Oh, now you're telling us is as if that you're telling us that we don't have the powers and authority to approve and revoke franchise. Huwag na natin pag-usapan yung powers, yung frankisa nyo mismo, Section 15.
Can I make a manifestation, Mr. Chair?
Hindi.
Please read, I think there's a,
Oh, gusto
section
mo basahin mo.
Okay,
Section
Mr. Chair.
15.
Okay.
Oh,
This-
para marinig ng lahat.
This franchise shall be subject to amendment, alteration,
Oh.
repeal by the Congress of the Philippines when the public interest so requires, and shall not be interpreted as an exclusive grant of privileges herein provided.
Oh. Ano yan? So,
That is the law, Mr. Chair. And of course, there's also jurisprudence about that, Mr. Chair.
what jurisprudence ano yung sinasabi mo?
GR number 196-199.
Sandali. Kasi tinanggap niyo itong prangkisa na to that we have the right to repeal, amend. And now you're telling us na para wala kaming karapatan.
With
Ay,
all,
tinanggap niyo yung prangkisa niyo. Now we want it to amend, to repeal, or to revoke. And we have that authority based on your franchise as a law.
with all due respect, Mr. Chair, although I respect the congressman from Iloilo, Mr. Chair, it says from Negros, Mr. Chair, it says here, Mr.
he's
Chair,
not from Iloilo. He's
when
not from
public
Iloilo.
interest so requires.
Yeah.
So who determines when the public interest so requires? So the jurisprudence, Mr. Chair.
Of course, Congress, because we are given the authority. And we only need to give you due process. And what we're doing now is the due process. To amend, to repeal, or to revoke the franchise.
Mr. Chair.
I respect the opinion of the good congressman, Mr.
Okay.
Chair. But still, the power of the Congress is subject to judicial review, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So thank you very much, Attorney Mark Tolentino.
Mr. Chair.
Hindi po tayo matapos dyan.
Mr. Chair.
Dahil kasi kung si Attorney Suplico dito na ko po, kontrahin ka dyan.
Mr. Chair,
Okay.
yun nga gusto
Di-
ko sabihin eh.
Attorney, hindi
Baka pwedeng pagsalitain si dating congressman, Suplico, at nagtataas ang kamay. Bakit di nyo pagsalitain, Mr. Chair?
Oh.
I just wanted to add something to what Congressman Dasa said. That I remember a case in Political Law 1 that's taken up during the first year of law proper. My professor was Justice Mendoza. He said that there was a case in the US, a dirty finger, when held in relation to the Vietnam War is protected speech. That guy, that the members of the Mukhang blacks trying to stop from talking, came from the ranks. And he has a He has a mission to uncover them. That's what he said. So there's a political reason for that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Thank you very
proponent
much.
of the House Bill 9710.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before beginning my interpellation, I simply want to express my appreciation for um, the means by which the Honorable DASA has approached this hearing today. And I think this is the approach that every one member here should take, that they consider all angles of this far-reaching bill that I am proposing. But unlike the other members in this committee here today, I have already made my assessment of the situation. That is why I filed this bill. Mr. Chair, I came to this committee hearing today on the basis, I filed this bill on the basis of our previous deliberations. We've already seen, in my opinion, clear facts that they have violated what I categorize as two kinds of violations. On Section 4 and 7 of their franchise regarding fake news and such, red tagging. On the corporate transgressions for their failure to report sale transfer of controlling interest under Section 10, failure to abide by the dispersal requirement under Section 11, both of which, by the way, have ipso facto revocation provisions. And of course, Section 12, for their failure to follow reportorial requirements. I came here today with this committee, with this bill, expecting a tackling mostly on the legal portions. But I'm surprised to see now, Mr. Chair, based on the interpellation of Congresswoman Castro, Congressman Manuel, Congresswoman Brosas, that still they continue to violate Section 4 and 7. Still, nakikita po natin, tuloy pa rin po yung kanilang mga ganitong programa online, despite numerous attempts to fix that in the deliberations. And I am similarly irked by the statements made today by our resource persons. Before I go into the meat of the bill that I have proposed, to really flesh out and hopefully persuade my fellow members here to vote yes on this bill, I would like to give the opportunity to our resource persons. I guess we'll go backwards now, so that it's still fresh in our memory. May we ask, Mr. Chair, Attorney Tolentino, while I think we have agreed that Congress has the power, I am very curious as to the jurisprudence he is citing here today. Mr. Chair, may we ask the good attorney, what particular, not the GR number, what is the case title po?
Attorney Tolentino, case title po.
The case title, Mr. Chair, is Manila International Port Terminal versus Philippine Port Authority, GR number 196199, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, regarding that, which is the law regarding franchises that they are challenging? What is the action for po?
Again, Mr. Chair.
The facts of the case, the antecedents. What happened in this case? What are they arguing against? Anong franchise po ang binigay sa Ports Authority?
That is with respect to the... It's about the Ports Authority, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Chair, anong nangyari po?
But this jurisprudence talks about franchise in general.
Mr. Chair, may I just clarify? I want to know the antecedents of the case. The antecedent facts. Ano po yung violation ng Ports Authority, ng Manila International, yung complainants? Manila Ports.
It's about
What?
Manila Port Authority, Mr. Chair. I
Ano
can
yung-
explain in details. I will give the complete copy of the decision, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair,
So-
this is my problem. My problem with the legal counsel that SMNI has selected is that they tend to nitpick and choose portions which they would now claim. It goes the same with SMNI News. They will choose portions to cite as truth that matters. But when you go into the whole picture, he can't even tell us the facts of the case. Mr. Chair, because I'm confident the Supreme Court will never say that Congress cannot repeal franchises. Alam ko yan. Alam ko yan sa law school. To now cite a case, which I'm pretty sure, Philippine Ports Authority, this is an executive agency exercising regulatory powers over that industry. It cannot be compared to a legislative franchise granted by Congress under the Constitution. Mr. Chair, I take exception to all of these manners of fake news, fake sources. Mr. Chair, I am honestly fed up. I wish to cite this as an example. He is citing jurisprudence which he has not understood fully. Mr. Chair, very simple. What are the facts of the case? What is the transgression of Manila ports? What is the action of the Philippine Ports Authority? How is that related to legislative franchises? I'm pretty sure, Mr. Chair, the Supreme Court here cited legislative franchises only to say that an executive agency cannot act on its own on transgressions such as that. But
Yes, sir.
never does it say that the Congress cannot repeal franchises. Can you cite, Mr. Chair?
Okay, Mr. Chair.
What can Congress is there a particular provision in that jurisprudence that says Congress cannot repeal franchises?
Okay, it says here, Mr. Chair.
No, the question is yes or no.
Yes,
Muna,
Mr. Chair, yes.
does it say there that Congress cannot?
The Congress can amend, but subject to the due process clause of the Philippine
Alright.
Constitution.
Mr. Chair, may we hear the
Okay.
provision? Sige,
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, can you now read?
We have also characterized the legislative power to grant and regulate franchise as being subject to due process. It says here, we acknowledge the power of Congress to impose restriction on franchise. We also noted that no enactment of Congress may contravene the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Congress may very well, in its wisdom, impose additional obligation on the various franchisees and accordingly delegate to the NTC the power to ensure that the broadcast station comply with their obligations under the law. Because broadcast media enjoys lesser degree of free expression
Wait.
protection.
Mr. Chair, this
You're
is in the Philippine Port.
sandali lang. You're talking of Philippine Port Authority in Manila. Paano ka napunta dyan sa...
No, it cites here also, Mr. Chair, because the Supreme Court decision is focusing on the power of the Congress with respect to the franchise, Mr. Chair.
Yes, but you
And
know...
the Supreme Court also
No.
explained what is
Yung
the franchise.
binabasa nyo ba'y bahagi ba yan o interpretasyon nyo na yan?
Can I
No. You have to answer the
Mr.
question.
Chair?
You know, kasi babalik ka na
It's
naman
part,
doon sa...
Mr. Chair.
That is part of that particular
Yes.
GR that you mentioned.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Can we take a look at your...
Can I email to
No,
the Honorable?
can we take a look now?
Mr. Chair?
Can I ask the COMSEC?
Most respectfully, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may we just ask him how to explain how that is related to the
Correct,
Philippine Port?
because you're talking of broadcast.
I assume
You're
our
talking
compañero
about...
read the case.
Ano naman ang connection ho ng broadcast yun sa Philippine Ports Authority?
No, Mr. Chair, the Supreme Court explained the nature of a franchise.
Yes, so why did they particular mention about broadcast?
I was not able to read the complete details,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, because it's too long, Mr. Chair. But I can explain, Mr. Chair, that the constitutional nature of the franchise.
We
Mr.
have to
Chair.
validate yung binabasa ho nyo. Pasensya lang po, Attorney Mark.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Hindi naman po tayo nagano, pero medyo tahilis ho kasi yung binabasa nyo eh. Okay, that is, we cannot see how they can include that in a decision that has nothing to do with broadcast or anything else. So maybe I would like to,
Can I email this, Mr.
Yes.
Chair? to
yes,
the
I would suggest, can you just send us a copy? And we're checking your records now.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Congressman Raj, can we please proceed because we will not, I cannot accept his, that explanation.
Mr. Chair,
Because I think it's not, I think he's reading from something else.
Mr.
So
Chair.
can you now proceed?
Yes, thank you. I will
Ah.
proceed. On the last point lang, no, it's very possible that our good Pañero is reading an obiter. Or perhaps he's reading the background to support in our Supreme Court cases, sometimes there's second, third sources already.
Yes.
So I think for him to, regardless if that is the case, without a sufficient explanation of how that ruling would apply here, kasi sa case pa lang, Philippine Ports, tapos biglang may NTC,
Ah.
without satisfactorily explaining to us, I don't think it would persuade anyone here in this.
Yes, and I don't think the Supreme Court rules on obiters. Is that the right term?
Yes,
They
obiter.
do not rule on that.
Mr. Chair, and more specifically, even if we were
Chair,
to
can I
take,
sug-
Mr. Chair, if we were to take that quote on its face value, it's talking about due process. But never does it say anything about Congress not having the capacity under the Constitution to revoke franchise. This, what we are doing here, my dear colleague members, is due process. Ito pa yung ginagawa natin.
Mr. Chair.
This is due process we are doing under our legislative process. Now, with that, Mr. Chair, I don't think we'll get anywhere with the Supreme Court. But there's one more thing I want to take up.